welcome to On This Day in Tudor History with me, Claire Ridgway, author of several history books. Now, where am I taking you back to today? Well, I'm actually taking you to the reign of King James I, but it's actually about a Tudor man. On this day in history, the 23rd of September 1605, Tudor pamphleteer William Averell was buried at St. Peter upon Cornhill. Now, I'd never heard of Avril before I came across him when researching dates for my book On This Day in Tudor History, but I loved the titles of his works, which included the 1581 Romantic, an excellent history, both pithy and pleasant, on the life and death of Charles and Julia, two British, or rather Welsh lovers. Great title. Then we have the 1583 Protestant, a wonderful and strange news which happened in the county of Suffolk and Essex, the 1st of February being Friday, wherein rained wheat the space of 6 or 7 miles compass. Great title again. Then we have the 1584 Collection of Moral Narratives, a dial for dainty darlings, and the 1588 A Marvellous Combat of Contrarieties. I just love Tudor titles of books. Now, before I tell you about a couple of his works, let me tell you a little bit about William Averell. Avril was baptised on the 12th of February 1556 in the reign of Queen Mary I in the parish of St. Peter upon Cornhill in London, and he was the son of joiner John Averell and his wife Margaret or Margarita. Nothing is known of his early life, but Avril became a member of the Worshipful Company of Merchant Tailors and the Worshipful Company of Vintners, and worked as a parish clerk and schoolmaster in the parish of his birth. He married Gillian Goodell, a baker's daughter, in November 1578, and Gillian was pregnant at the time of the wedding, as she gave birth to their daughter Anne in February 1579. The couple went on to have another 16 children, but Gillian died after the birth of the last one. Avril remarried at some point and had a daughter, Elizabeth, who was born in November 1597. Averil's first published work was his 1581 romantic work about the Welsh star-crossed lovers Charles and Julia. Its full title was An Excellent History, both pithy and pleasant, discoursing on the life and death of Charles and Julia, two British or rather Welsh lovers, no less delightful variety than tragical in their misery, not hurtful to youth nor unprofitable to age, but commodious to both. The Tudors knew how to write titles for books, didn't they, in plays and poems. Now, this work was dedicated to mercer and brewer Henry Campion, the dedication reading to the worshipful and his most approved friend, Master Henry Campion. W.A., that's William Averell, wisheth health and wealth of body, quietness and contentation of mind, in this life fullness of felicity, and in the life eternal true tranquillity. Now, rather than being based in Italy like works like Romeo and Juliet, this work was set in Britain in the time of the legendary Brutus of Troy, who is known as the first king of Britain. And I'll give you a link to read this work for yourself if you're interested in doing that. Averill's next work was A Wonderful and Strange News, which happened in the county of Suffolk and Essex, the 1st of February, being Friday, wherein rained wheat the space of 6 or 7 miles compass, a notable example to put us in remembrance of the judgments of God, and a preparative sent to move us to a speedy repentance. Avril didn't see the shower himself, but he cited accounts from witnesses who saw the grain fall in a drizzling snow. They described it as a softer substance, greener colour without, whiter within, and of a mealier taste than common wheat. Avril saw it as presaging the end of the world. His 1584 A Dial for Dainty Darlings was a collection of 3 moral narratives dedicated to William Wrath, warden of the Mercers' Company. They were on divine punishment for sin and the reward for virtue. Then in 1588, the same year as the Spanish Armada's attempted invasion, Avril published his work A Marvellous Combat of Contrarieties, malignantly striving in the members of man's body, allegorically representing unto us the envied state of our flourishing commonwealth, wherein dialogue-wise, by the way, are touched the extreme vices of this present time, with an earnest and vehement exhortation to all true English hearts courageously to be ready prepared against the enemy. Wow, I think we ought to go back to using titles this long. They would cover the covers of the books, wouldn't they? This was dedicated to Sir George Bond, Lord Mayor of London. Avril's biographer, William E. Burns, describes this work as beginning with a dialogue between the parts of the body in which the tongue, urging a revolt of the body against the belly and back on the grounds of their greed and pride, was eventually unmasked as a traitor, and concluding with an exhortation for loyalty to the Queen. Burns explains that it contained attacks on Jesuits and Catholics, and that it was used as a source for William Shakespeare's parable of the revolt of the members against the belly in his play Coriolanus, and that was in 1590. It was published with 3 narratives of a dial for dainty darlings as 4 notable histories, which was dedicated to Hugh Offley, a Marian exile and London alderman. Now, Averil's date of death is not recorded, but he was buried on the 23rd of September 1605. I'll give you links to read the history of Charles and Julia and his marvellous combat of contrarieties, because you might just be piqued, your interest might have been piqued by those wonderful titles. And, Charles and Julia, it's much better than Romeo and Juliet, surely. Also on this day in Tudor history, the 23rd of September 1571, 49-year-old John Jewel, Bishop of Salisbury, died after being taken ill while preaching a sermon. Not many people have heard of John Jewel, but he had an interesting life which spanned the reigns of King Henry VIII, Edward VI, Lady Jane Grey, Mary I, and Elizabeth I, a real time of religious change. He was a clergyman, a Protestant exile, a theologian and bishop, and someone who spoke up for what he believed. And you can find out more about him in last year's video, and I'll give you a link to that in the description. Thank you for joining me today. You can subscribe by clicking round about there. You can hit the bell to be notified as these videos go live. You can give me a like and leave me a comment. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.